a large amount of cargo ships out there today. We haven't heard much about this lately, but a lot of ships out there. As far as the eye can see, really. I wish I had a zoom lens, but I'm just using a very small camera here. But I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, about 20 ships out there right now. And remember, they're pushing ships back beyond 40 miles so they don't have to count them. So I don't know how many ships are sitting out here today, but I can see roughly about 20 right out of Huntington Beach here. So I'm pretty far south of Long Beach in LA. So the farther you head north, the more of these ships you're going to see. What an absolutely beautiful day here in Huntington Beach. But every time I see this, the size of these ships, how close they are, and knowing that there are so many more ships beyond the 40-mile marker that the eye cannot see. They don't want anybody to see that. But again, remember, out of sight, out of mind. But this stuff is piling up, ladies and gentlemen, and it doesn't look like the problem is getting much better. In fact, the last time I was here, it looks like there's more ships here now than the last time I was here. So it's Friday, February 18, 2022, coming to you from beautiful Huntington Beach, California, with a buddy of mine here today. We're taking care of some business for him, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But as we were coming down here, market's been kind of up and down. It was just down about 12, 15 points. And from the time it took me to walk out on the sand here and back, it is now down about 190. Now, I don't know what it's going to close at today. It's been down 5 of the last 6 days. This could be 6 out of 7 as we head into a 3-day weekend. But somebody wrote me yesterday, and while we're talking about the market and preparation and things like that and what's happening, I had somebody write me yesterday telling me that he just pulled an additional $20,000 of home credit, a credit line out of his home from Bank of America, and buying the dip. And the last I checked, Bitcoin was down, and this is to buy Bitcoin, Bitcoin down roughly about $1,000 today. And what we are seeing is we're watching Bitcoin and the cryptos trade with these markets. That's what it's doing. The minute there is fear, uncertainty, and risk, we see what the cryptos have been doing. Gold trying to fight back and hit 1900 today, silver up. But I had to bring this comment up because pulling $20,000 and buying another $20,000 of Bitcoin off of a home credit line, hey, I wish you the best of luck. Nothing but best wishes. But wow, this is the mentality today of people where they're just doubling, tripling, quadrupling down, believing that the Fed is going to rescue them. Absolutely no fear, taking huge risk. And this is going to be the problem when the housing market starts to turn. People have borrowed so much money out of their homes to buy cars, RVs, sand rails, cryptocurrencies. And when they try to make it to the exits and sell those homes, they're going to be so upside down because they use their homes as an ATM. So dangerous, ladies and gentlemen. But this is becoming common. This is how people now are commonly thinking. This is their strategy. And what it is pure gambling, major risk, taking on more debt, hoping and praying that these Ponzi schemes continue to go up. I don't wish anybody any ill will. I hope everybody wins. I hope everybody makes money and can ride off into the sunset, drive their Lambo, have lots of cash, and eats caviar. I wish everybody the best, but this is the real world, ladies and gentlemen. We saw this movie play out in 2008. This is a repeat, but it will be so much worse. Remember, in 2008, we had about 10 trillion in debt. We're now breaking 30 trillion in debt. We were at about 5.5% interest rates. We're now at 0% interest rates. Household debt at $15.6 trillion, and you have people using their homes as ATMs. thinking that everything's going to be okay. We're just hearing so much about what's happening in Ukraine and this war, and this is, you know, what's dictating what the market's doing. I think there's something much more ominous below the surface, and I don't believe it's Russia and Ukraine. I think that there's much more behind this. We've now dipped down over 200 on the Dow. Again, what time is it? 12:30. We got a half hour. You know, it's the last 10 minutes that makes or breaks these markets now. Is the Fed going to come in and save the day? Is the plunge protection team going to come in and save the day? I don't know. It's too early. A lot can happen in 30 minutes. So now, market down 230 points. Goldman Sachs just came out and said that the economy may be slowing more than expected. What a surprise. Where have they been? Have you noticed it? Have you noticed what's happening to the economy? Do you think this is any surprise, any shock to you? Of course not. You know what's going on. Very interesting article yesterday on CNBC titled, "Despite rising wages, 61% of Americans are still living paycheck to paycheck." That is an understatement, because we know it's 70 to 80%. 61%, no way. It's 70, 80% easily. And I think, like, when you read something like this, look, it could be 51%, 41%, 80%. These are horrific numbers. This is terrible data, ladies and gentlemen. We're supposed to be recovering all that free money. And it says right here, 61% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck. And that number is much, much higher. Forget earnings. Forget the stock market, ladies and gentlemen. This economy is crashing. And these people who for the past year said, "Where's the crash? I don't see any crash." Leave your house today, get out, get into the real world, and take a look at what's going on. I cannot believe, again, every time we drive out here to Orange County, as we're driving through parts of Riverside and San Bernardino County, the amount of office buildings, the amount of restaurants, retailers that are closed along the freeway, the homeless people, and here we are with 20 cargo ships sitting between 5 and 10 miles off the coast here, as far as the eye can see. And you know there are many, many more to the north and many more out to the west that I cannot see. So they can no longer hide what is going on. We are now down 300 points on the Dow Jones as we head into a 3-day weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Look, keep buying the dip for those people out there. If you feel like you need to keep buying the dip, keep buying the effing dip. Me, my buddy here today, who just came down here to purchase some hard, tangible assets, which we'll close this video out with later, just to show how you can diversify your asset portfolio. What he's doing may not be right for you, might not be wrong, but a lot of people are doing it right now. We'll talk about that later, but we're down 300 points right now as I see piles of cargo ships to the west of me. Another article today coming out of Yahoo News. High inflation, not acceptable, but recovery on track. Janet Yellen quoted. You know, how can you have, and my friend here today said this on the way down, how can you have a recovery when you have high inflation? Think about that. It's absolutely impossible. It's a complete contradiction to say that there's a recovery when you have 7.5% inflation. Now we're hearing numbers that inflation now is 17 to 18%, even higher. Some people saying it's 20%. And if you're going to the grocery store today, if you're putting gas in your car today, you know inflation is well over 20%. And remember, this is the woman, Janet Yellen, who said that we would never see a recession. We would never see an economic downturn. And here we are on the verge, the cusp of maybe one of the worst economies we have ever seen. That I truly believe we're heading into a depression. I believe that we've already started a depression. All you have to do is look at the numbers. Look at the labor force, look at the real unemployment, look at the inflation numbers, look at the debt, and look at the bubbles. This is getting out of control, ladies and gentlemen. So as we were driving down here, as I mentioned a little earlier, the amount of vacancies as we saw in some of the cities on the way down, it brings us back to commercial real estate and commercial mortgage-backed securities. When you look at these, especially these massive office buildings, tens, if not hundreds of thousands of square feet, this is going to affect cities. It will affect municipalities. It will affect people. It will affect loans. It will affect banks, and it will affect pensions, and it will affect commercial mortgage-backed securities. Think about if your pension or your bank or your retirement is invested in these commercial mortgage-backed securities. Nobody's paying on these buildings. What does this mean for the pensions and the investors who are tied into these massive, gigantic commercial structures? It just, if you do not see where this is all going and how vulnerable and how fragile this system is right now and how close we are to something really, really setting off here. And as I'm standing here making this video, I see 1, 2, 3, 4 more ships coming into sight out to the west here. It's unbelievable. Deficit. We ran the first $100+ billion deficit in December, and this is why, ladies and gentlemen, your money that you got from those stimulus checks, those benefit checks, all that government money is getting on those ships and going right back to other countries, making these countries extremely wealthy, while the average American is going deeper into debt, losing his or her standard of living, losing any savings that they have. This is, words cannot describe when you see the size of these ships and how many of them are here. This really is economic warfare, and we have lost the war, ladies and gentlemen. And it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse because the goods on those ships are going to get more expensive. The fuel to fuel those ships, more expensive. The labor, more expensive. And guess what? Those ships are going back empty. You know why? Because we don't make things here. We don't manufacture. So those ships go back with a pile of cash, and they go back with no goods. And so again, we are making other countries very, very wealthy. Other countries now having more opportunity, more wealth, while the average American's watching football games. 112 million people watch the Super Bowl. I hope it was worth it. Many of them putting all of it on a credit card. Enjoy the journey, ladies and gentlemen, because the destination is going to be a nightmare. And I'm going to try to wrap this video up here as we have to move on. But 4 in 10 people now have anxiety or depression. You know why? Because of their finances, because of what's happening in the economy. We've had people just, over the last couple of years buying things they couldn't afford, getting free money, being paid to stay at home, not produce anything. And look, I'm not talking, if this is not you, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about the people who knew very well they didn't have to pay rent, that they were going to sit at home, get free money, go out, buy a car, buy the big screens, buy the video games, take a vacation, go out to dinner every night, because they were making more money sitting at home. Now, this thing is doing a complete 180, and people don't know what to do. They're completely unprepared, and these people are getting very, very scared. Somebody said that this is fear-mongering. Let me be very, very clear with all of you. I'm not really fearful about what's happening or what's going to happen. I'm concerned. I'm worried. But I've got my security protocols situated, my food, my water, my barterable goods, my trauma kits, my pharmaceuticals, things that I need, right? And so I'm prepared. If the lights go out tonight, I've got at least 6 months plus, maybe 9 months of food, and still adding to that. Let me tell you who's going to be fear-mongering. The people who have absolutely no money, no food, no water, no way to protect themselves, and no plan, no mental mindset, no skill set. These are the people who are the fear-mongers, because they're at a dead end and they know it. And they get very, very triggered when I talk, because they're the ones I'm talking about. And if you're one of these people, you can change that today. You can go out, you can start preparing a little bit today. But as I've said in past videos, it is too late for so many people, because they've already lost the jobs, they're broke, they've spent all their money, they have no skill set, they were too busy partying, going out to the bars, watching football and basketball and baseball, smoking weed, playing video games, in denial of what was really happening, laughing at people like you and I, judging us, telling us we were wrong, believing they were going to get free money for the rest of their life. So to those people, I hope somehow you can turn it around. So we're just heading back home and decided to pull over. We've been driving for over 2 hours. The traffic has been absolutely horrendous. And so we pulled over here to take a little break, and lo and behold, behind me here, Bob's Big Boy. We're out here right off of I-10. I believe this is Beaumont. Take a look at this. Bob's Big Boy, closed down, vacated, game over, empty parking lot. It's been there for years. It's done. So that's not a good sign of this economy, is it? But traffic is just brutal. Wanted to pull over, but we just got some news just reported. And I say this, be careful of a bank holiday coming soon, ladies and gentlemen. It's very, very possible. CNN reporting US officials prep big banks for potential cyber attacks. What are they getting us ready for? And you got to ask yourself this question: is your money safe? No matter who could be behind this, we don't know if it's even real, if there's any validity to it. Again, we don't know who is behind it. Is it Russia? Who knows? Who knows? A lot of bad actors out there. But at the end of the day, you better be watching your money. Is your money safe in the bank? So no matter who's behind these cyber attacks, is your money safe? So again, CNN reporting, US officials prep big banks for potential cyber attacks. Not good news. This could start getting very, very messy, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure you don't have all your money sitting in a bank. So as we were talking earlier, looking at, say, something like cryptos, to me, fairy dust, Ponzi scheme, whatever, just speculation and gambling versus a real asset like gold, like silver. And look, I'm not here to insult anybody, to judge anybody. Be diversified as you can. Again, if you believe cryptos are the way to go, more power to you. I wish you nothing but luck. But we are talking about real hard tangible assets with history that have been through wars, have been through economic collapses, fiat currency collapses, political collapses, empire collapses. They've stood the test of time, gold and silver. But again, going back to something like a Bitcoin, when we begin to see problems, we begin to see bigger problems with the cryptos. Markets go down. To me, cryptos are now trading with the market. We begin to see the talk of interest rates going up. We see the cryptos begin to fold. We hear the talk of war. Cryptos begin to get into trouble. So to me, you need to be going back to the basics, and this is not financial advice. But this brings me to this topic right now. I'm with a friend of mine that we went to Huntington Beach today, took a ride with him, and we went to one of his favorite places. He's a watch collector, and he purchased a Rolex watch today. This is what we would call a Pepsi. And this is where we're seeing a lot of cash flow into, is in the luxury watch market. Now, I've spoken about this before. I think that this is a market that is beginning to see its own bubble form, but not to say that there's not value here. If you know how to trade these watches, you might do very, very well. I look at a watch like this, and if I could just get another look at it. The cost of this watch right now is about 100,000. Retail 40,000. So that watch retail 40, selling for $100,000+. This is how crazy the market's getting. But it will never be worth zero. It's white gold. It took a human to create it. They're scarce, okay? There's scarcity. So it will always have value, as opposed to one of the 17,000 cryptos out there that may not always have value. Many of these cryptos are going to be vaporized, ladies and gentlemen. That watch will be here for the next 100 years. It will always have value because of the gold value, because of the person or people that built that watch, and literally the craftsman that built that watch. So here's another one right here, and this is a Yachtmaster.
Yep. Retail's about 30, it's about 40.
All right, retail's 30,000 on this watch, selling for about 45,000. So we're seeing a lot of cash flowing into the luxury watch market. I believe it's heading into a bubble, but people are getting so nervous about where to put cash. They're willing to pay above retail for these watches, knowing that, hey, even if they went down 25 or 50%, there's still value there. Many of these cryptos will go to zero.
The Asian markets, their housing is dropping. They're scooping them up too.
Good point from Mr. X here. The housing market in Asia getting very, very dicey, and a lot of people in Asia now coming over here and buying up these watches and pushing these prices up. We saw this in Lebanon when their currency collapsed. They were running to jewelry stores to buy gold, silver jewelry, diamonds, and watches. Why is that? Because they'll never be worth zero. And it's better to lose half than to lose everything. There will always be value because of the gold content, silver content, diamond content, the craftsmanship, the scarcity, and there will always be a market for these type of items. Will there be a market for all 17,000 of these cryptos? You know as well as I do, people are not buying cryptos as a safe haven asset. They're buying them hoping that tomorrow the price will go up so they can make money. Safe haven assets are gold, they're silver, they may even be luxury watches now, ladies and gentlemen. We've seen so many people jumping into art, into collectible cars, and now luxury watches. So these are, again, just thinking outside of the box here, things to look at. Maybe if you could pick one of these watches up for the right price, it might be a good place to park some cash. Me personally, again, I think we're seeing a bubble forming in it. Not to say that there's not value there. Again, if you get it for the right price and hold it, you might do very, very well. And you may hold it for a very, very long time. It's never going to be worth zero. There's things out there right now that I think bonds, stocks, cryptos, real estate going to take major haircuts. If I needed to sell a watch quickly, it's going to be much easier to do than selling a house, much easier to do in a falling crypto market. Somebody's always willing to give somebody money for that watch. May not be what you paid for it, but it's always going to have value. You cannot say that about a piece of paper or debt or a promise. So again, it's another option to look at, maybe at the right price, or to hold it for the long haul. Maybe it's worth doing. A lot of people are looking at luxury watches now, but beware. because bubbles are forming all over these markets. So again, me personally, it's gold. Right now, I like gold rounds, gold coins, and cash. And eventually, when real estate comes down, it's going to be about acreage. So I'm going to leave it there today. We're going to try and get back home. It's just been just a relentless day on the highways here, but hope everybody's doing well. Be careful what's going. Who knows what we're going to wake up to Monday. Monday, we do have a 3-day weekend. Markets will be closed Monday. Banks closed on Monday. So be cautious. You don't know what you're going to wake up to. Things are heating up across the world. And at the end of the day, you're going to have to be worrying about you and your family. Nobody else is coming to save you. I can't stress that enough. So many people are going to be taken off guard, and there's no reason why anybody has to be surprised with what's happening. We've been talking about this for years. These bubbles, the political unrest, what's happening globally, the debts, everything, it's all leading up to some very, very serious trouble. And I hope everybody's paying attention. Good weekend to get out and put some preparations away, buy a little food, a little water, get out, get a little training in, and get your mindset for what's coming. Ladies and gentlemen, things are heating up. I hope that things calm down. There's no guarantee that that's going to happen. Things could really escalate from here. Get ready.